Before I start, I want to share a little story with you. A few years ago, I was on a business trip in Portugal. On this business trip, we make a decision at the evening, hey, we're going to a beach bar. And we drive to the beach bar, and 3 or 4 kilometers before we arrived, we were stopped, hard stopped. The reason why we are stopped is very, very bad. We had a smell of fire, a smell of smoke, and an ant surrounding us. And on the beach bar was a very, very, very heavy fire. And the whole beach bar and the forest around there was burning down. The firefighters standing in front of them say, okay, we have fire engines here, but we have no water. And that, growing up the in us, there was all technical engineers, that we make some countermeasures against this bad things, these bad fires. And here we have the idea for Prod Floor. Prod Floor stands for Protect Floriani and is our completely autonomous AI-driven drone project for firefighting in emergency situation. What sounds so simple is a very complex development in each kind of development what we have. We have to facing here the challenges of our future. We have also to facing here the idea that we not only fighting fire in Portugal or something other areas, we have also we want to have a drone, or we have a drone that have the possibility to fight fires in the whole world, especially the fires in Canada. And last year was have a very deep impact in myself. And the last year I spent 8 months in California. I fly to New York as well, and what we saw there was very shocking. We saw a lot of really brave firefighters. They're dying sometimes in the fire. We saw a lot of people there helping the Canadian people. And at the end, yes, the fire will be fighted, but it's starting in Portugal again, it's starting in Spain, it's starting in Greece. And what also was shocking, I have a little bit research in the firefighting manpower. In Germany, the next 10 years, as example, over 22% of the firefighters going in retirement. That means, actually, you need, in Germany, 11 minutes that you have a firefighter in front of your house if you have a house burning. If you're on the country, you need 50 minutes. And this time increase in the next 10 years, minimum at 20 or 30%. And that's a really shock for me. And we have also the climate change. We have areas that get drier and drier, and. And for us was a not so simple answer. It was only, okay, we have to do something and we will develop a drone. This is our first design study, what we have for the drone and what we have developed for 2 years. And we have a lot of requirements. And don't be shocked, you don't have to read this whole requirement. Don't want to punish you. What we are having here for the countermeasures that we have in our brain is that we have here access time of the drone about 180 hours. That means the drone should be able to fight fire 180 hours per one circle. And this all independent, not controlled by a firefighter. It should be controlled by an operational center. They are also controlled with AI. That brings a lot of questions up, and we have a lot of discussions with not only engineers, also with lawyers. We have a lot of discussions also with, the EU, the German politicians, to say, oh, you should drop something off your drone. The drone have to be protected, but we have water on the drone we want to spread out. No, it's forbidden. It's against the law. Yeah? And that makes small thinkings about, okay, how we can fix it, this problems in a big discussions ending and all this stuff. But here today, we, or I want to show the responsibilities of our AI. And responsibilities are the big word. Yes, that's a big word, and it's also a big responsibility by the AI and the training of the AI. We have in our, and now I focus only on the drone by itself. I don't focus on the fly control and. That would be another presentation maybe. To concentrate on the drone by itself means we have minimum 4 to 5 subsystems in different cases. They're monitoring the drone in the inside, they're monitoring the drone in the outside, they're monitoring the drone at the avionic, and they're monitoring the drone also in the possibility of flight and countermeasures if they get in a bad situation. And the additional challenge here is not the development. The development is not so hard. Yeah, it's sometimes a little bit tricky, but in my life before, I was also a developer, a software developer. That means, okay, I have a little bit deeper insight about this development, but it's tricky from the perspective that we have to fulfill in the lawsuits, that we have to fulfill in the regulatories, and also how we can show the people around us what we are doing with the drone, and that the countermeasures that the drone have works, still work. It's quite simple. It sounds simple, but it's very, very heavy. The verification of the subsystems have to be in a special protocol than the verification of the system by itself. It means we have to have a layer system in the drone development, and the normal verification, I don't have to explain of you, something you know, something you don't know, but the normal verification is you have requirements, you're testing against the requirements or with the requirements, and. Here we have to testing against the systems in every test case what we have. Every time, every new code, and. And this is the additional trick that we have and faced here, is the data quality. It's very important that we have really the best data that we can get. The quantity as well. That means our view is one part, yeah, AI, and we want to train also the verification AI that we have to have with machine learning. That means we have two different paths, but we have to match them together. And one of the very hard things is testing the countermeasures. How can I show you, or how can I show the authorities, okay, the drone get in a safe mode if you have failure in the engine, if you have failure in the whatever, yeah? Each of these countermeasures, maybe also failure in the AI by itself. Okay, if you have a failure by AI, how you can show me that the AI is safe or the drone is safe? And these are all additional verification tasks. Yeah, and we have also to be very careful about the AI requirements from the authority. I'm fully respect with FAA and the EU regulatory and also the Canada regulatory offices, but be careful what you need from the developer or the vendor of the drone, of a AI system. You can't not every time make the right decision with your requirements. There may be safe people. As example, the taxi license, they are now still put down from the San Francisco authority for the taxi drivers. The reason why this taxi license is put down is quite simple. It was a wrong requirement, put it in the AI control system of this taxi provider. That means the requirement was quite clear. If you have a person in front of you, brake. If you have a block in front of you, brake, move in the right way, and stand still. The problem is, one of the pedestrians was hit by a car driven by a people falling in front of this AI autonomous car, and the car said, okay, I don't see a people in front of me, I see a block here, I make it quite simple, I follow the requirements, move on the side, stand still. But the car put this passenger, or this pedestrian, with him, and that's a problem. At the end, it was not a big deal, but it was a malfunction. A malfunction, the authorities say, oh, we have to take care of it, and we have to stop it. And that's only one of the pieces there we face it here. Our best practice in this way is, in each design phase that we have, we use various testing positions, various starting position of the test. We also write requirements on a high level. That means we want to see what the decision of the AI will bring us. That is simple in the perspective. We say, okay, you have to start, you have to fly there, and you have to face some challenge. And the drone will say, okay, I make it so, I stop it, blah, 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 whatever. Or I fall down, I crash down, I have a loop at something else. And what we also have is, we have in every step that you see here, a human interface, a human verifier. And we don't see it as one closed development and verification task. We see it as different verification tasks. That means each of these colors is a separate development with us. If you see software, we develop the software in different layers. Operating software, the software of the avionic, the software of the speed, and. The hardware operation systems by different chips, by different inputs, and will also develop as a separate task. And each of these tasks will test it in different pieces. That means if you have software tasks, you test in software tasks. If you have hardware tasks, you test it and verify in hardware tasks. And then you merge them, and then you test against the system again and again and again. And you have test flights, or we have to have test flights, and at the end of the test flights, and these whole circles are fulfilled, we say, okay, we have a close to 80 or 85% awareness that this drone will be safe. And higher is actually not possible from our perspective. And 85% is very high. Yeah. That means our risk management must be very careful, and we don't say this drone is usable in city firefighting or something else. It's only for really broad fires in a forest, wood, or something else in large areas. And one last additional point, what we are also aware, and maybe some older guys like me know it, HAL 9000, war games, and also Terminator. We have to face it with the fear of the people, and fear of the people means including politicians. And this fear is one of our greatest burdens that we have actually now. So, I say thank you for your time.